Tantakia Tristan Greyes Nitsigasun, Wapana Daxwell Nehiawe Nitsigasun, Muskego Sakai Ganik, Treaty 6 Otinia, Yama Nehiao Jibwe Nishnabekwe. My name is Tristan Greyes. I'm from Treaty 6 territory under Muskegee Cree Nation. Kinanaskaminan, thank you all for joining us virtually. I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed Klabona Keepers, and I'm really excited that we have some guests from the front lines there, and the director, Tamo, Mary, and Brennan. Just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done on the front lines there and behind it, and I'm grateful to learn about the resistance that went on and the history of it, and it's very inspirational, and it really gives me hope. I've supported a few blockades, and I commend all the work that goes on it for it to maintain and behind it, and the efforts of the Tahltan to reclaim their language and their culture and traditional practices, as it's the fundamental reasoning to protect the headwaters and to get the land back. And I also cried with Tahltan community members as they expressed their pain and exhaustion from all that work, crucial work. And I've seen the frustration of being undermined from these community spokesmen that would come into the meetings with patronizing language and postures, to smirking with the agenda of using the RCMP to remove them. And lastly, Rhoda's powerful statement is a perfect summary of the ongoing neocolonialism. They steal the children from the land, and they steal the land from the children, and that just hit home, right? Even for my community. Do you think that you can introduce yourselves, where you're from, and what you were doing on the front lines? And then, Tamo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Tamo Campos, and I'm one of the filmmakers behind this film. Myself and my good friend Jasper Snow Rosen volunteered to put this film together over the last 7.5 years. And it really, we were so inspired by the Klabona Keepers like Mary and the other elders and their 1.5 long fight and struggle for justice for the Klabona area. And it was just such a privilege to get to collaborate and put this film together and have it screened at this festival. And some of the kind of unique things about this film was the IP of the film is actually owned by the elders. So Mary and a few of the other elders own it and decide where it goes. And they've actually decided that all the proceeds from the film go towards bringing youth out onto the land. And so if you're interested in learning more, just look up klabonakeepers.com. And you can learn more. And it's also just really special to have Brennan here. I know I've edited a lot of footage of you as a little kid on that blockade. And, when we were originally crafting what this story would look like and what the elders wanted in this film, it just resonated throughout everything they said. It was always about the next generation. Their fight was about their next generation. This film was to tell the stories to the next generation. And their resilience came from thinking about their grandkids. And so having you here, I'm really excited to hear from you. And you always speak so eloquently, Brennan. So know that not only was the fight for the land for folks like yourself, but also this film in many ways was made for the youth growing up in Iskut.
My name is Brendan. The protest happened in 2005, I believe. So that made me 4 years old at the time. I'm my grandma Mary's great-grandson, or her great-grandson. When the elders arrived to the blockade, something came upon me at that very young age to lead them down and go in front of them, begin drumming and dancing and making our way up towards the camp. And that was the part that I played on the day that I remember. After growing up and realizing and reflecting on it now, I realize that I feel like it was a nice notion for me to kind of lead our elders to their, where they will stand in defiance, in defense of our territory and our people.
My name is Mary Kwok. I'm from Klabona Reserve. In a few days will be my birthday. I'll be 78. This means a lot to me. A lot to me after they arrest us and all that. They wouldn't keep us away from there. We went back, right back to there in the evening, sit around the fire and thank our Creator that He made us strong. My grandson was just about 4, 5 years old but he did what he could do. He was ahead of us, dancing with the drum, going back to the camp where we will be arrested.
There was a lot of emotions that day. I remember, from what I remember, I was only so young. I just understood that there was something in need of our protection, because from what I understood, there was people coming into our territory to take something away from it. And at that young age, I understood that, pardon me, I understood from a young age that, for them to come in was almost like an invasion. And us being there was a sort of stance in defiance and like defense of what our territory meant so much to us about. It was worth putting ourselves on the front line. All the things that we sacrificed and we were willing to sacrifice on that day. A lot of us watched our elders and our parents be put in handcuffs. I remember crying a lot, but that was just because of the fear of not knowing exactly what was going on, not the fear of where our grandparents were going, our elders.
I want to invite Mary and Brennan to talk about what the film means to you and to your community.
The film to me means a lot of resilience, and knowing that despite all the things that have happened, the attempts of companies going in the police, trying to maintain the peacekeepers, but in a sense, working on behalf of those companies and, their attempts to remove us. It means a lot to, I guess, be defiant for the right cause, because otherwise changes won't be made. The status quo will remain the same. So to me, I guess what I'm trying to say is it means a lot of faith in what we were doing, the faith in the future, perseverance, and getting through all the obstacles it took to protect our territory. It means a lot to me for, the future generations that are to come, because even to this day, the sacrifices that were made upon our territory allow us to go out there without, much hindrance, to any hindrance at all. We're able to enjoy our land to its fullest potential. And that was due to the sacrifices we made, especially our elders, in big part to our elders and our communities and the other nations that had decided to join the fight. The fight is ongoing, but the film means a lot to us, especially me, because it showcased a lot of the personal sacrifices that families made and our elders took, especially in the sense of they're doing it for us. They weren't doing it for them. They're doing it for the younger people who are still yet to, grow up and enjoy this stuff.
Yeah, at that time we were arrested. The first thing I thought of when I left the turnoff to go to Dease Lake was that. I'm just thinking about my grandson. I want him to be taken care of when I'm out. So I look around and ask one of the girls, somebody, could you please take my grandson? The bystanders were there and they say, oh, we will, don't worry about him, we got him. So I was so happy at that time. Couldn't tell you how much it made me. The grandma mode just instantly came out of me, and I'm thinking of him, his safety. And my other grandkids were all crying around, but they're growing up, they could know where they go. We were standing by the vehicles and really holler our name with tears in their eyes and hollering. I still see a lot of people going up there to do their camping up there. I'm just proud of our Klabona keepers that we were standing up to them, regardless. That's when, after we got over to Dease Lake, we went into that RCMP station. Some of us were just drumming and singing, and they don't know what's going on. Those cops just was astounded about that. They know we mean business. We're not even just taking this like easy.
The film means so much because it documents so much of the suffering we experienced at the hand of protecting our territory. You know, albeit not severe, but we did sacrifice for our territory. And I appreciate all the people that put themselves on the front line. And to all those people that continue to put themselves on the front line on behalf of our future.
It was a big thing that we did. And we weren't afraid. We weren't afraid of the RCMP. We weren't afraid at all. We were standing right against them. And also the people who was passing with all the vehicles going past the camp. They just stopped right there and they went back down to their main road, and they just didn't want to tackle us, I guess.
Thelma, do you want to talk about what this film means to you and why you started it?
Everything happens for a reason, and like, you know, we had no plans on going to Iskut to make a documentary. In fact, I think it was almost over 10 years ago now, we were driving up the Highway 37 that runs through Tahltan territory. We were driving around working on a different film, and we were driving up in this school bus, and we stopped in at the local Iskut Kluachan gas bar there. And one of the ladies, Ace from the community, was working there, and she said, "Hey, there's this Sacred Headwaters Music Fest going on. You guys should check it out. It's just happening across the highway at the field there." And, you know, you're a couple hippies in the bus, you're going to check out a music fest. And so we drive the bus over, and we ended up just like partying for 3 days at their music fest, meeting all the elders. And I will say I have never been a country fan, but I have learned to love country music over the years up in Iskut. And on one of the last days when we thought we were heading out, I think it was Peter and Oscar came up to me and were like, "Hey, we heard you guys have cameras in the back of your bus and do video work. And a bunch of our elders are going to be going way up into the Klabona area, a camp called Beauty Camp. And they're going to try to blockade a coal mining company that's been trying to go in there and dig up the headwaters of the Skeena River. Would you like to come up for like a few days and shoot some of the media?" And we were absolutely honored by this invitation, and, you know, thinking we could probably do like 2-3 days of hanging out up at Beauty Camp and shooting some media for these tough elders. Well, 8 weeks later, we were still there. And throughout that summer, I literally had my perspective just blown open on the sacrifices that families were willing to give for such a beautiful, sacred place. You know, to see this small group of families stand up to not only the companies that come in, but just the RCMP, the intimidation, and just doing it for that next generation, like I was mentioning. And that summer, I watched these families go head to head with the drillers and kick that company out, and it just blew me away of what's possible, of what's possible when a small group gets together and stands on their responsibilities to the next generation. And, you know, 7.5 weeks later of being on a blockade, eating lots of moose, caribou, groundhog, develop a lot of good relationships. And I just kept going back every year. I fell in love with the people, And like Mary was saying, like Jenny, her sister, who is a Klabona keeper who's passed on now, she dared me about 8 years ago to start working with the youth. And now that's a huge part of my life is youth work. And so I think about all these gifts that the different elders have given me from that perspective, from youth work, from teaching me how to hunt. Like eventually when we were asked to put together like a larger film, because we had always shot really short stuff for the media, like little CBC clips and stuff like that for the blockades, it was just an honor. And we knew we wanted to do it as a gift for the community, and we wanted to do it collaboratively because, you know, the fight was a lot longer than we were there. And, you know, we thought it would be done in 2 years. It took almost 7 years. But it's because of that, it has the depth it has, because of that, it has the stories it has. And it's just been, it's such an honor to get to put it together. And it really is a love letter to the community. And there were so many folks who were involved in making it happen, from like the elders who advised the whole process, who we just spent winters with drinking tea, kind of figuring out like, what is the storyline, what should be included, to the filmmakers who were there long before we were, who shot things and shared their footage, to the musicians who shared their music, and just so many people to thank who gave their gifts to make this story happen.
I find it very, very heartfelt mood of appreciation towards all the filmmakers and the people who put their time and effort towards documenting all this. Especially because, there are still people to be born to experience all the things that were preserved, and then learn the histories of those who fought to preserve it. And because of this film, they're able to watch it and see it in such a very personal light. And I find that very profound that, complete strangers who will later become family decided to document our fight, our struggle towards it, and adopt it as their own fight and as their own struggle. And, just the amount of reciprocated love we felt towards each other, and the dedication we had towards each other, and keeping the fight going and keeping each other strong. So I would just, appreciate and thank all the people, all the people, all the time and effort put into making this film so profound and so, like, with such a heavy message. It keeps the legacy going. The legacy has been documented, and future generations from now will be able to look back and reflect and see all the elders, all the people that fought, and at the same time see the work done by Tamo and his company and his team.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I really appreciate this film so much. It's very powerful and important, and I'm so glad that Vancouver International Film Festival is screening it. And I'm very grateful to meet you, Mary and Brennan. And
You're very welcome.
Likewise, thank you for having us.
Thank you for your work. You're amazing. I'm inspired by you.
Thank you so much, Tristan. It's great to see you. And Mary, I love your passion, your words, and just you're such a big inspiration to me. And it feels like coming home when I drive up that 37, and that's because you and the other Tsutsu's grandmas are so welcoming. And Brennan, I teared up hearing you speak today. Like, you're such a beautiful, articulate speaker, and you're an inspiration every time I hear you speak. And yeah, I'm just really grateful you guys carved out the time to be here today. And we'll all send Rhoda some big wishes to feel better from her stomach flu, and hope you guys have a lovely birthday party planned in the next few days.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.